All persons having business before the Honorable Chief Judge Blackburn Rigsby, Associate and Senior Judges of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals, now holding the investiture of Judge John P. Howard III. Draw nigh and give your attention. This honorable court is now in session. God save the government of this United States of America and this honorable court. Please come to order and remain standing for the presentation of colors by the color guard from Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School and the singing of the national anthem by Miss Marvina Valoy Roa.
Color guard, attention. Carry colors. Forward march. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed ere the twilight last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' reckless dug bombs bursting in air came through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward arms. Right face. Forward march.
Please be seated. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the District of Columbia Court of Appeals and to our historic courthouse. I am Chief Judge Anna Blackburn Rigsby, and I'm joined on the bench today by active judges Corrine Beckwith to my right, Judge Catherine Easterly, Judge Roy McLeese, Judge Joshua Deal, Judge VJ Shanker. We're also joined by senior judges, former Chief Judge Eric Washington, Judge John Stedman, Judge Vanessa Ruiz, Judge Phyllis Thompson, and Judge Stephen Glickman, and by retired judges Inez Smith-Reed and John Fisher. On behalf of my colleagues, I'm pleased to welcome everyone. We have a number of special guests here today who are joining us. I first would like to say thank you to the color guard from Dunbar High School. If we could give them a round of applause. And to Ms. Marvina Malloy Roa, who is a courtroom clerk in our Superior Court. Thank you. I'm pleased to welcome you all today to the investiture of the Honorable John J.P. Howard. Judge Howard joined our court in February of 2022 on the tail end of the COVID-19 pandemic, and during the restrictions of COVID, delayed his formal investiture. Since joining the court in 2022, he has been contributing to the heavy workload of the court and has shown himself to be a wonderful colleague. I'd like to extend a very warm and special welcome to his wife, Attorney Brandy Howard, and to his very handsome son, Jack Howard. You look great in your suit, Jack. We are live streaming this investiture, and I'm pleased to welcome the family members, members of the bench, and the legal community who are watching us online, especially Judge Howard's grandfather and other members of the family who are watching from South Carolina, and those members of the family, including Judge Howard's mother-in-law, who is here with us today. There are a number of honored guests that I would also like to recognize, as well as a few other family members. We have with us Chief Judge Milton Lee of the DC Superior Court and a number of judges from the DC Superior Court. We have our DC Court's Executive Officer, Mr. Herbert Roussan, the Deputy Executive Officer, Mr. Dana Friend, Clerk of the Court of Appeals, Mr. Julio Castillo, Clerk of the DC Superior Court, Ms. Sabrina Dempson. We have the Chief Administrative Law Judges of the District of Columbia Office of Human Rights, Ms. Colleen Curie. We have with us as well the Assistant to the President, Senior Advisor to the President, and Director of the White House Office of Public Engagement, Mayor Stephen Benjamin, White House Associate Counsel, Virginia Williamson, and Associate Counsel, Matthew Aiken. We have Congressman Clyburn's Chief of Staff, I believe is with us, Mr. Yelberton Watkins. We have the judges from the United States Court of Appeals, Judge Michelle Childs, Judge Florence Pan. We have judges from the United States District Court, including our former colleague, Lauren Ali Khan, Judge Mir Ali, and Judge Qureshi, and retired Chief Judge Richard Roberts. We also have the Mayor's Counsel, Ms. Betsy Cavendish, on behalf of the Mayor. And I don't know if any of our council members are present, but they're expected. Thank you, Councilmember White. Thank you for joining us today. We have members of a number of the DC boards and commissions who are present with us today. United States Attorney Matthew Graves, Assistant Principal United States Attorney Bridget Fitzpatrick, and former United States Attorney Ron Machin. The Director of our Public Defender Service, Ms. Heather Pinckney, as well as attorneys from the office. Our District of Columbia Attorney General, Brian Schwab, First Assistant Lauren Haggerty, and Solicitor General Karen Van Zyl. The Chair of our Judicial Nominations Commission, Ms. Marie Johns, and Executive Director Tracy Nuttall, former Chair of the Judicial Nomination Commission, Professor Patricia Worthy. We have a number of law school deans with us, Dean Traynor from Georgetown, Dean Fairfax from Howard University. We are also fortunate to have the presence of the Adjutant General of the DC National Guard, Brigadier General Leland Blanchard, and Major General retired Hawthorne P. Proctor, United States Marshal Robert Dixon. And I know Judge Williams, Alexander Williams, who Judge Howard clerked with, was scheduled to be here but had to attend a funeral and is not with us. I wanted to recognize Judge Howard's mother-in-law, Bobby Young, and as I mentioned, a number of other family members and friends who are not able to be here but are watching us and are here in spirit. With that, I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves. No, just kidding. Tell us a few facts about yourself. This is a special occasion when we have an investiture. Many of you were here with us a few months ago when we had the investiture of Judge Vijay Shankar. I will note Judge Joshua Deal joined our court just a few weeks before the COVID pandemic hit in 2020 and had to cancel his investiture. So I always give him a shout out at each of these investitures. At this time, I would like to read the biographical sketch of Judge John P. Howard, or J.P. Howard III. Judge Howard was appointed to the District of Columbia Court of Appeals in February 2022 by President Joseph R. Biden, a native of Greenville, South Carolina. Judge Howard is the son of the late J. Pete Howard Jr. and is a graduate of Southside High School. He received his BA degree from Howard University, graduating from the College of Arts and Sciences Honors Program and serving on the University Board of Trustees. Prior to law school, Judge Howard completed a congressional fellowship conducting work in Louisiana following Hurricanes Katrina and Rita and working with the National Conference of State Legislatures. Judge Howard earned his JD degree from Georgetown University Law Center with pro bono recognition. A leader in the Arabic and Black Law Student Associations, he was a research assistant and represented Georgetown and moots in Hong Kong and Vienna. Judge Howard served as a judicial clerk for Judge David Simmons of the DC Commission on Human Rights, then for Judge Alexander Williams Jr. of the U.S. District Court for the District of Maryland. Afterward, he joined the DC office of Aiken Gump as part of its inaugural class of pro bono scholars, serving on the local and firm-wide pro bono committees, the Pro Bono Scholars Hiring Committee and the Associates Committee. He later moved to Houston, Texas, where he engaged in solo practice. Judge Howard was appointed as an administrative law judge at the DC Commission on Human Rights in 2014. There he also co-authored litigation manuals for unrepresented persons and taught the DC Human Rights Act at local high schools in the street law program. In 2018, he was appointed to the DC Office of Administrative Hearings, serving on the IT and court management committees and leading the creation of their judicial clerkship program. Judge Howard is a guest lecturer and adjunct professor of law at Georgetown University Law Center and a member of its alumni board. A fellow of the American Bar Foundation, he was recognized in 2017 by the ABA as one of the top 40 young lawyers in America. He has received honors from the National Bar Association, including its 40 under 40, with individual recognition for service. He has also received several honors from the Washington Bar Association. The Public Policy and International Affairs Program recognized Judge Howard as one of its 40 change makers. He is past chair of the Washington Bar Judicial Council and DC Association of Administrative Law Judiciary. He is a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity and Sigma Pi Phi fraternities. He is married to Brandy Howard, an attorney and partner at a law firm here in the District of Columbia, and they are the proud parents of Jack Howard. With that, again, I welcome everyone. We have two speakers on the program. The first speaker is H. Patrick Swigert, President Emeritus of Howard University and the State University of New York at Albany, and former Executive Vice President of Temple University. Recipient of 9 honorary doctorate degrees, Mr. Swigert began his career in higher education at Temple University, where he was a law professor and interim dean of the law school. He has served as a director for the United Technologies Corporation, the Hartford Financial Services Group, and Fannie Mae, and has been appointed to federal commissions by President George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and George W. Bush, William Jefferson Clinton, and George W. Bush. A graduate of Howard University and Howard University School of Law, where he was valedictorian, President Swigert began his career as a judicial law clerk to Chief Judge William Hastie of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. He served as president of Howard University during Judge Howard's tenure as a student there. President Swigert.
Chief, thank you so very much. It's a real honor for me to be here this afternoon. I have a few remarks. Now, I don't want anyone to panic. When a president takes out a piece of paper, you know you're in for it. But the chief has told me I have all of 4 minutes. So we can now relax with 4 minutes. I come in two capacities, and thank you so much for that introduction. I come in two capacities. The first is I come on behalf of alma mater, Howard University. President Ben Vinson, our president at Howard, has asked me to extend his greetings and regards to our judge. He also wanted to know that his greetings were on behalf of the entire university, not simply the administration, if you will. I also come, if you will, as an echo of a time past and a time that I hope informs the future. When I was a student at Howard University School of Law, I was taught by Spotswood Robinson. I was taught by William B. Bryant, and I was taught by Thurgood Marshall. I mention those giants because they, I think, in fact, I know, would be proud today to join in the celebration of Judge Howard. In times past, Judge Howard, you would have been by far the exception. And I say that because for those of us who remember Washington in 1961, when I came to Washington, would understand what I mean by the exception. But today, you are now an exemplar of what can be and what should be and what will be. And I'm sure that you have already infused in Jack the notion of HU. That right, Jack? Good. He's smiling. I also want to speak just a moment, if I may, Judge, to the future. When I see Judge Howard, I see the future. And the future, in spite of what some of us may feel from time to time, is indeed bright. And it's bright because we have members of the judiciary who maintain fidelity to their oaths of office. Indeed, Judge Howard, I think, will maintain fidelity to what is illustrated as the values of this court as you enter the courthouse. Excellence, accountability, respect, fairness, integrity, and transparency. There's no doubt in my mind that he will, as he does today, embody all of those values and continue those values as he takes his oath as a member of this most honorable court. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Swigert. You had me a little nervous earlier when you said you only get warmed up at 15 minutes, so I thank you. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Nicholas K. Austin. Nicholas Austin is a native Washingtonian, is a senior corporate counsel at Microsoft and a longtime friend of Judge Howard's. Formerly in-house counsel at Wells Fargo and Caterpillar, where he also served as general counsel to Caterpillar Tunneling Canada Corporation. Mr. Austin began his career at Foley and Lardner LLP in DC. Mr. Austin is a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Morehouse College, where he was the editor-in-chief of the Maroon Tiger student paper and classmates with Judge Howard at Georgetown University School of Law, where they attended law school together. And they were both campus leaders He has been a leader in the Washington and National Bar Associations and the American Bar Association, and serves on several nonprofit boards. Traveled here today from Indianapolis, Indiana. So we welcome Mr. Austin. Thank you.
It's funny because I actually did work for a while at Cummins in Indiana, but I came from Portugal because I'm celebrating my 40th birthday, but I cut it short because of Judge Howard. Judge Howard, we are so proud of you. And it's not because of the accomplishments that we've heard from your biography. It's because of the man that you are, the father that you are, the husband that you are, the pillar in our community that you are. That's why we are so proud of you. Coming behind President Swagger is definitely an honor because I've known of you my entire life. And so thank you for giving me the honor, and I hope that I do you justice today. We're here because of JP and what he does for the community. I know you call him Judge Howard, but for these purposes, he'll affectionately be JP, my friend. Please don't get me in trouble afterwards for calling you JP and not Judge. In our society, we're so dominated by where your summer home is. Are you driving the latest Tesla? How much money do you have in your bank account? What's your stock portfolio like? Sometimes as a society, I think we've gotten away from what makes a man, what makes a woman, what makes a person, what makes a human being. To me, it's compassion for those in your own community, in your own house, and those outside of it. For me, it's integrity, having the ability to stand up when it's hard and say, I want to do the right thing. For me, it's a sense of morality. It's a sense of moral code, a sense of purpose that guides you, whatever your religion, whatever your beliefs, having those things. In JP, you have all of those in abundant supply. Walking the halls of Georgetown Law, I remember me from Trinidad Northeast, right around the corner. As a young kid growing up in DC, I didn't even know where Georgetown Law was. What's that building, right? But there I am, walking the halls of Georgetown Law, somehow, some way, by the grace of God. And I meet you, JP, sitting in the study hall. I always teased him because I think he's maybe the smartest guy I know. I'm like, so where's your Mensa membership card? Because he has a photographic memory and is a brilliant guy generally. But that's not why we were friends. We laughed, we joked, we shared our struggles going through law school. And you never change. Graduating from law school, working at a prestigious law firm in Aiken Gump, becoming a judge, becoming a federal, you never change. Because of those things I said before, compassion, integrity, morality, having a sense of honor, a sense of code. And I know that from personal inferences with you, right? There's so many people in our African-American community and communities all around that are struggling for help and advice. How do we navigate challenges of getting a job in a difficult economy? How do I become a lawyer when my parents weren't judges, when my parents weren't doctors, or my parents weren't seen as those in the community that could distill that knowledge and information for me? But it's you, JP, answering the calls that I've made to help out with the street law program and donate money to the National Bar Association, or speak with the Washington Bar Association, or sit down with people that want to go to law school, but they don't think they have enough money. They don't think they have the talent. Maybe they're not the right race, the right height, the right speaking ability. But no, JP, you always pick up the phone. You answer it, and you say, how can I help? What do you need to get you there? Who can I call that I know that can help pour into you? That's why we're here, JP. Not for the material things, not for the accolades and the accomplishments. It's because of the compassion that you have as a man. It's because of the man that you are that we are all here today, courtroom overflowing to celebrate you. Being a DC native, You may not understand our plight. And I'm not going to turn this into a political conversation because I see the politician right over there, right? But as you know, without going into the civics lesson, DC has not always had home rule. We're celebrating 50 years or so of home rule, so we get a little clap because I am a native. So I'm going to force you to clap, even if you're from Utah or someplace else. But our ability to govern ourselves is not taken for granted. Having residency in DC means a lot to natives like me because we're often overlooked. This is a magnet. This is a beacon for the world. This is a city that attracts talent from Iran, Russia, Cuba, Africa. The world over, talent is attracted here. But as a young Black man growing up in the neighborhood of Trinidad Northeast during the Rayful Edmond years, I often felt overlooked. I didn't have JPs to help me figure out how to navigate getting to Georgetown. I didn't have JPs to tell me, well, you do need to try to scrape up the money to get the LSAT class because it really will help your score. I didn't have JPs to help me navigate going to a law firm where I was the only African American mergers and acquisitions attorney. I didn't have JPs to do that for me. I often struggled, and I can admit I often failed at many junctures. But JP, we're here because you're giving people chances to succeed in life. You're giving people chances to get mentoring that me or you or others may have not gotten in life. And to me, those are the types of things that matter. Those are the types of things on our last days on this earth, which we all will face one day, that we want to remember and savor. It's not going to be what car we drove. It's not going to be the money in our bank account because from what I understand, we can't take any of it with us. From what I understand, who knows, right? But those are the things that make a man to me. I just want to thank you so much for all of your mentoring and what you do to help so many other people. It's not lost upon me. It's not lost upon the members, and I look out and I see my Georgetown Law classmates. It's not lost on the members of our fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, Fraternity Incorporated. It's not lost on all of the people in this room that you touch in some way. So my call to you is just to continue being the person, the husband, the father, the friend, the dear friend that you've been to me and so many others, and take that with you when you sit up there on that bench. Take that with you when you're reviewing cases and you're talking to your clerks. Take that with you when you're speaking at speaking engagements or working with the bar associations, and never, ever lose it. Because my friend, that just makes you who you are. Thank you. I love you.
I'd like to thank both of our speakers. At this time, we'll have the reading and presentation of the Presidential Commission by Associate White House, by Senior Associate White House Counsel Virginia Williamson and Associate White House Counsel Matthew Aiken. Okay, by Associate Counsel, White House Counsel Matthew Aiken, who's joined by Senior Associate Counsel Virginia Williamson. And I guess I would take just a moment to say thank you to both of you for coming. The White House counsel play a key role in helping to put and move our judicial nominees forward, and we have appreciated your work on behalf of the DC courts.
Thank you, Chief. It's been a real pleasure working with you. Congratulations, Judge Howard, and to you and your family. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., President of the United States of America, to all who shall see these presents, greeting. Know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the integrity and ability of John P. Howard III of the District of Columbia, I have nominated and, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, do appoint him an associate judge of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals for the term of 15 years, and do authorize and empower him to execute and fulfill the duties of that office according to law, and to have and to hold the said office with all the powers, privileges, and emoluments thereunto of right appertaining unto him the said John P. Howard III, subject to the conditions prescribed by law. In testimony whereof, I have caused these letters to be made patent and the seal of the United States to be hereunto affixed. Done at the city of Washington this 15th day of February in the year of our Lord 2022 and of the independence of the United States of America, the 246th, by the President, Joseph Robinette Biden, and Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. Congratulations.
Right, at this time, we will administer the oath of office for Judge Howard. And holding the Bible for the family will be his wife, Brandy Howard, and his son, Jack Howard. Robing Judge Howard, following his taking the oath, will be Brandy and Jack, along with Bobby Young, his mother-in-law, and I should say Bobby Young Esquire, his mother-in-law, and Chief Judge David Sinnott, retired, of the DC Office of Human Rights. We'll share this microphone. Can everyone hear us? All righty. So I'm going to ask you all to come this way so everybody can see you. Judge Howard, are you ready to take the oath?
I am.
I state your name,
I, John Peter Howard III,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully execute,
that I will faithfully execute,
without respect to persons,
without respect to persons,
and do equal right to the poor and to the rich,
and do equal right to the poor and to the rich,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially.
There should have been a better way to do this with the microphone. That I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as an associate judge
as an associate judge
of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals,
of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals,
agreeably to the Constitution
agreeably to the Constitution
and the laws of the United States,
and the laws of the United States,
and that I will support and defend
and that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of an associate judge
of an associate judge
of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals.
of the District of Columbia Court of Appeals.
And this I promise.
And this I promise.
Thank you. At this time, we'll officially welcome Judge Howard to the bench.
Chief.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Judge Howard, I'm sorry. Sorry. Judge Howard is asked to make a few acknowledgements of gratitude.
Thank you, Chief. I know I am breaking protocol, and we've seen some new things in the room, and I've seen some new things already. I didn't know that my dear friend Nick Austin went and got his divinity degree um, since the last time I'd seen him. But Reverend Dr. Austin, thank you, and thank you, President Swigert. In all seriousness, in the spirit of the judge whose seat I am beyond honored to fill, I don't like being the subject of attention. However, with everyone here today, it's the perfect opportunity to say thank you, and so I asked for that opportunity. And my first thank you I'd like to make is to my bride, Brandy, and our son, Jack. Uh, you make up my world. You are my greatest blessing, and I would be nowhere without you. And Brandy, I want to give you your flowers today too, and your mother as well. And we all know that Brandy would be nothing without her mother, and we'd like to give you your flowers too. And so, since I am breaking with tradition, I'm going to try to be exceedingly brief, and I want to continue by saying thank you to the family I chose, who is so well represented in this room. I look out and I see my mother-in-law, I see my family, friends, fraternity brothers, colleagues, and leaders representing the DC area, South Carolina, Texas, Indiana, California, and just across the world. And so many of you have touched my life and have been a powerful light, even in long periods of deafening silence, which we all know that the process and what it's become to get these courts can be like. And your friendship and support have meant everything. To my grandfather, Reverend Mickey Fisher, surrounded by family right now in Greer, South Carolina, my mother, my crazy Howard family, my Fisher family, and everyone watching online, I love you and thank you so much for your constant presence, encouragement, and occasional chastisement. I'm going to look at the camera for that one. You were spiritually present as I know my late father Pete and late grandmothers Marlon and Tatlar. I am so blessed that two families seeking opportunity, one from Appalachian, Virginia, and one from overseas, converged in South Carolina and produced my sisters and I. Love you, Rachel and Elise. I am grateful to President Swigert and my dear friend, the newly ordained Reverend Dr. Nick, as we said, who represent two institutions that took a kid from District 25 in Greenville, South Carolina, and built further. Howard gave me confidence for life, stoking the fire of high aspiration, while constantly reminding all of us who attended there, as Judge Keith was fond of saying, that we came through doors we didn't open and we stand on floors we didn't scrub. That in the spirit of truth and service, our motto, Veritas et Utilitas, we should aspire not to enter doors for personal glory, but to make sure that they never close behind us, to lift as we climb. I found that same spirit embodied in Georgetown Law, a school as dean trainer who I am so grateful to you for your friendship, support, and counsel over the years, describes in the spirit of Jesuit institutions as at the end of the train tracks, there to reach out, a school that aspires to train women and men for others. Such service is not easy work, and I'd like to thank my colleagues who I do it with, and my colleagues who have been there with me doing that work before. I particularly want to thank those who reached out to provide mentorship and support in the uphill climb that we all face in transitioning to a court of this, really any court, not just one of this nature. I'd like to say thank you too to our dedicated court staff who make our job possible and who this event would not be possible without. And to my clerks and chambers family without whom no judge would stand a chance. Since they made the mistake of giving me a microphone, I'm going to take a further personal privilege and ask my clerks and chambers family to all stand up, please. To Judge Williams, who will see this online later, and let me pause a moment and express condolences to the Mercer family, the loss of attorney John Mercer, our fraternity brother, and Judge Williams. Law school and undergraduate classmate is a tremendous one, and we are thankful, and I am glad for Judge Williams to be there ministering to the family right now in his funeral. But to you, Judge Williams, who will see this later, and to Judge Simmons, I hope that you see in this clerk family that just stood up and in what we do, that I carry you and those who molded you, like Judges Perry and Keith, wherever we go. Thank you to the Southwest Catering Company, who has prepared the food that we are about to enjoy when this is over. It is a community organization that's focused for 26 years on helping returning citizens and those in need. And we are proud to support their mission and to enjoy the very tasty food that they're going to prepare for us. I promised I would be short, so I will end there and say thank you and God bless you all.
With that, thank you for those acknowledgements, Judge Howard. I'm going to ask Associate Judge Joshua Deal to escort Judge Howard to his place on the bench with his colleagues here. And I'm going to ask the clerk of the court to place Judge Howard's nameplate before his seat. Before we adjourn, I saw those hooks go up. Before we adjourn, I just wanted to recognize our court staff, our DC Court of Appeals staff. They are the ones who've been escorting you in and organizing. If they may be outside the door, but if they are here, I'd like them to stand. They are outside working hard, but I wanted to thank them and thank you all for coming, and we invite you to enjoy the reception outside in the foyer outside the ceremonial courtroom. Thank you again. Congratulations to the family, and we stand adjourned.